so this parable of Jesus was that for a time now he had been castigating the Pharisees because they were so self-centered. And in their self-centeredness, they were not particularly involved or cared about the people around them. And so Jesus decided to tell them a parable. And of course, in this parable, as Jesus is such a good storyteller, he gives us two contrasting examples, we could say. So, we can divide this into different scenes. So, scene one is the setting. There is a nameless rich man. Now, whenever Jesus is telling a story and there's somebody who is nameless, be careful. If the person in the story doesn't have a name, most likely Jesus is implying that the name is the one that each one of us bears. So be careful. So there's a nameless rich man. And he was stylishly dressed, and he dined sumptuously every day, and he never looked beyond the door of his house. There was a poor man laying down on the threshold of the door of his house. Now this poor man had a name. His name, of course, was Lazarus. So he has a unique identity, just as anybody else does. And so he lived homelessly outside the door. He was always hungry. He would love to eat even the table scraps. But he had no way of getting to the back door to find anything in the garbage bag. And of course, he was covered with scabs and, I don't know, psoriasis or something. And we have to remember that the dog's tongue is antiseptic. And so the dogs would come and lick his wounds. And that was the only health care that was afforded him. Now, scene two. Both men died. Lazarus was not afforded a funeral, but he was directly carried away by the angels to the bosom of Abraham. Now the dead man, most likely, we can understand this, had a rather elaborate funeral, a sumptuous funeral celebration of his life, I suppose. But where he was, his hand-tailored suit quickly disintegrated. And the heat pumped in that place could never be turned below 120 degrees. So his skin was dry. His tongue was parched. So now it was his turn to be a beggar. Now, in this afterlife, his eyes were turned to Lazarus, who was basking in the bosom of Abraham. Scene three. A dialogue between the rich man and Abraham. The nameless rich man, now turned beggar, was looking for pity and relief. But he had already, in the course of his life, been accustomed to being served all the time. So he said to Abraham, "Send Lazarus," whose name was now familiar to him, and have him, be my water. He can dip his finger in the water and relieve my tongue. And so Abraham was pitiless. Abraham said, "Buddy, remember when you had it Now, there's a big difference between now and back then. Back then, the clock was always ticking. While the clock was ticking, you could have been doing something about Lazarus. But now, there's no more ticking clock. Everything is stable, and there can be no change in this eternity. So now, there's no migrating from your side to our side. Besides, the reason why there's no migrating from your side to our side is that there's like this grand canyon between us. And there's no getting back and forth across that. So, this nameless rich man was still attempting to be Mr. Bossman. So he said, well, if nothing can be done about this great divide between us, at least have Lazarus, as a good messenger boy, go back to the family estate and warn my brothers to change their lives. And Abraham, great realist that he was, retorted, they already have their warning. There's no need for Lazarus to do anything. They have Moses and the prophets. What more do they need? Scene 4. The Zending. The nameless rich man, in their last-ditch effort to convince Abraham to send Lazarus, said, well, Abraham said to him, even if someone from the dead, like Lazarus there, were to warn them, they'd be spooked into changing their lifestyle and care for those beyond the